Hi everyone, welcome back to Chat the Brain with Dr. Ghilain. I'm Dr. Christine Ghilain, board certified clinical neuropsychologist. So I know last week we started talking about Dr. Braun's EXCEL model, and then I happened to jump in with a little bit of reintroducing myself on Instagram and social media, as well as providing the different ways that you can connect with me across various social media sites. So jumping back into the EXCELS model, I wanted to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the different components and why they are so important. Throughout the year, I'm sure I'm going to talk more and touch more upon these, but let's talk about each component today so that you have sort of a Cliff Notes version of why these things are so frequently recommended to keep our brains healthy and strong. So exercise. If you haven't heard about the benefits of exercise from a physical standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, from a mental health standpoint, let me be the first to let you know that there are even studies that show us that the results of exercise and physical activity can sometimes equal the amount of endorphins that are released from things like an antidepressant, for example. Now, that is not to say that I in any way am recommending a change to your medication regimen without specific doctor approval of your medical health provider or your MD, but I am saying that a good run or some physical activity that you do that you really enjoy is going to support your mental health and physical well-being as well. Consuming healthy foods. So there is a lot of information about the what we call the gut-brain axis, or the ways that the foods that we eat impact our brain. So certainly we get our energy from food, but so does our brain. And so the foods that we're eating to increase our efficiency and to increase our focus and our clarity. A lot of times, if we're eating healthy foods that are not very processed, that are low in refined sugar, for example, these are really going to help us boost our brain quality and diet as compared to things like prepared foods or fast foods or, highly refined sugared foods like candy or otherwise. Engaging in learning. This one might be a little bit surprising, but I'm sure you've heard of things like luminosity and other brain games, and there's really not a lot of research to support doing these things to train your brain or to boost cognitive health. Now, we certainly see that if you do engage in something like luminosity, for example, your scores will improve. You will improve on the different tasks that they have you do during that. But there's not really what we call generalization or, a change in the way that you're then engaging in your day-to-day life outside of the brain game itself. But going ahead and engaging in learning in new things, so going to the library and picking up a book on a new craft or a new sport or a new, topic of interest that you have, maybe bird watching, for example. These are all great ways to stimulate the brain, to keep those connections firing and wiring together, and to boost your own knowledge on a variety of different topics. So nothing wrong with that at all. Lowering stress. So in the times of COVID, in the times of Omicron, I know folks are even more stressed out than they were before. But the ways that we can lower stress through taking time for ourselves, or being able to engage in a meditation routine, for example, or just identifying quiet moments that we can take throughout the days that can lower stress, that can lower anxiety, and can boost brain health in the process. Finally, sleep. I personally need a lot of sleep. I know this about myself, and that's probably the one I feel like I can check off the best. But for some folks, sleep is not a priority, or sleep is just not something that they engage in as frequently. So having a good sleep regimen and having good sleep hygiene, which means going to bed around the same time every night, waking up in the morning around the same time of day, can be really helpful in boosting brain health. The sleep cycle is kind of thought of as our dishwasher cycle or our brain cleaning cycle, and it kind of sleep allows all of the different molecules to be able to kind of go in and clean house as we think about it, and get rid of things like free radicals and other buildup in our brain. And the sleep cycle is really when a lot of that is happening. So we want to prioritize sleep as much as we want to prioritize all the rest of these things. So that is a very quick conversation around the EXCELS model: exercise, healthy food, engaging in learning, lowering stress, and making sure you're getting adequate sleep. So I'd love to hear in the comments which ones you feel like you've got down pat and which ones you hope to improve on in 2022. And thanks again for following along with me in this process. I look forward to bringing more content in the days and weeks ahead.